Hey guys, so I'm at home and I thought I would try the fitness test from home myself. So you will find the actual table to complete in your manual, and on the second page there is a list of standards. It flows over 2 pages. But that is how you're going to perform your fitness test. You can absolutely do it in the gym. You can do it in open gym times. You can do it around your class time. It won't take long and it doesn't require much setup at all. So I'm just going to really quickly run through what you require and go out and do it as well. So you can see just the format and get an understanding of what's involved. Okay, so I did my body scan this morning. So this is what it looks like. See, at the top there, you'll have your height and weight. So that's the measurement that you're going to use on the fitness test. So you've got your weight, your height's not recorded on here, but do take note of that as well. You're wanting to do, it does it for you, it does the BMI calculations. We don't really use BMI all that often for various reasons, just in terms of muscle mass being heavier. So do the body scan if you can. Otherwise, just take your weight on the scales and record it on your fitness test here. So first measurement, chest. First measurement that we're doing ourselves. So run a measuring tape. I'm using this sewing measuring tape across the nipple line, passing under the arms. Arms should be relaxed by the side and the measurement taken after a normal exhalation. So you're going to wrap it right around here. So this height here. Find where it touches, grab that spot and record that. For your waist, you're going around the smallest part of your waist. Take the measurement, the narrowest part of the waist. If not clear, take the measurement at the line of the belly button. So the line of the belly button, for me, right about there, that is where you're going to measure, and that's usually the smallest part of the tummy, or for ladies anyway. All right, so hips, you're gonna go around the widest part. So just standing up, go around the widest part. I'll read it out. So take the measurement at the widest part of the hips with the glutes relaxed. So stand as you do this measurement, find where it touches. You can use any measuring tape. I've got the sewing measuring tape because it's really easy to use. If you don't have a tape, just use a piece of string and measure it when you can, whether it's a ruler or a measuring tape that you find later on. Okay, resting heart rate. So with the resting heart rate, you're going to measure it ideally first thing in the morning. If you haven't, you're going to do the test this afternoon, that's absolutely fine. Hopefully you haven't had too many coffees or anything like that. But try and measure it first thing in the morning. If you do it tomorrow or the next day, that's absolutely fine. And ideally just as you're getting out of bed. So you can use a smartwatch. There's no reason you can't use any smartwatches, your Apple Watch, all of those sorts of things. But the other way is quite simply just to find your pulse. And so alternatively, find your pulse on your wrist here or on your neck and count the number of beats in 15 seconds and multiply by 4. Push-ups. Okay, so this is the first one that we're actually going through and doing a timed test. So you do need to set a timer. I'm going to use a spare iPad. You can use a stopwatch, your Apple Watch, anything, just a clock with a old traditional watch on it, any sort of watch, but try and make sure that it does have seconds and a countdown as well, so that you can see exactly where you're at. Okay, so with the standards for push-up, complete as many push-ups as possible in 1 minute. Start with arms straight and body straight with feet or knees on the floor. Okay, so you can either do this on your feet or on your knees, but whatever you choose is your standard and you stick to that same standard and you try and increase the reps. Okay, to ensure consistency, place a yoga block or a roll or anything at all that will help indicate the depth of each push-up. Lower your body until the chest touches the marker, then return to the starting position. If you pause to rest, do so in the up position. Finish on the toes if you start on the toes and record the number of push-ups completed on toes and knees, okay? So you can actually record the number on toes and then go to your knees. That's absolutely fine, but I do want you to try and stick to toes and have that as the standard and just use that as your guide. Okay, the body must remain rigid in a straight line and the chest must touch the object on the floor each time for it to count. Okay, so I'm gonna start my timer and I'll go through this. Ideally on toes, but we'll see. Okay, so my timer's already started, but you guys are gonna ideally have a countdown. When you're doing this, try and make sure you start with arms extended and ideally with a marker. I'm gonna use one of the kids' toys because it's just the easiest thing for me to find. When you come down, you're gonna be hitting that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have to keep going. 11, 12. It was a big workout this morning. So my timer says 10 more seconds. All right, so I'm done and I would record my reps. Bench dips. Okay, so with the bench dips, we're completing as many dips as possible in 1 minute, similar to the push-ups. Sit on a chair, make sure it's the same chair each time. Okay, sit on a chair, stair or bench and extend your legs, lifting your bottom off the bench and holding there with extended arms. Lower your body down until your arms form a 90-degree angle and then push up to the starting position. Don't count partial reps as you start to get tired. Okay, I'm gonna use that chair, and if you've got the luxury of doing this in the gym, try and use the benches, but we're going for 1 minute once again, so you'll need your timer and making sure that you hit those same standards with legs extended. If you do find that quite challenging, by all means you can bend the knees, but that is the standard that you're going to stick with. We do want arms at 90 degrees. So I'll just show you. I'm going to start the timer for me. Okay, so as you can see, we're coming forward, legs are nice and long, and we're going to go up and down. So you guys know what tricep dips are, but if your standard were to bend the knees, you'd still be bending the knees, but getting your depth with the movement. So arms at 90 degrees. You can stop, that's absolutely fine, but try and stop in the extended position. Minute's a long time. I've still got 20 seconds to go. So we're going to get stronger, we're going to get a stronger chest, we're going to get stronger arms. 10 more seconds for me, but you get the gist. Okay, so that's our dips. I might even go with that for my first one. But this is really just to give you an indication of how we're doing it, and if you're wanting to do it at home, that it's completely doable. Okay, we're now on to lower body, so squats. So use a chair, bench, ball or bucket at a height that makes your knees at 90 degrees. So this is just setting the standard once again. When ready, squat down, lightly touching the object with the buttocks before standing back up, and keep eyes and back straight. Okay, so I'm going to use the chair again. It just is whatever height works for you, and that's your standard, but ideally we want to see 90 degrees, hips at parallel. Okay. So this one is a 2-minute timer. When you're doing the times, try and have it as a countdown timer if you can, but whatever works for you. Okay, so I probably won't go for the full 2 minutes for the purpose of the video here. Okay, we're gonna go up and down, count reps. Okay, the whole time. Full 2 minutes. Yes, it's a lot of reps, but this is how we're going to train legs. All right, so you've done your 2 minutes on your squats, and we're then on to a one-legged stand. Okay, this one's actually not too bad, but your one after this is also going to be a little bit trickier. So stand with feet shoulder width apart, back against the wall, with both your knees and hips at a 90-degree angle. Okay, I'll show you this in a moment. Lift one foot off the ground and hold as long as possible, maintaining that 90-degree angle. Then test the other leg and finish by testing both legs. So what you're doing is seeing how long you can hold a single-legged position for on one leg, then the other leg, and then effectively a wall sit, okay, where you're going with both legs and seeing how long you can hold for. So just to demonstrate, I'll just angle this. There is a wall here. Okay. So your timer's going to be running and you're going to find 90 degrees and then take up one leg. Doesn't matter how high it is, it can even just be dangling there. And you're going to see how long you can hold it on one side. Then see how long you can hold it on the other side. The key thing is that the hips are at 90 degrees, okay? Not so much where this leg is. After you've done either side, you're then coming back to 90 degrees here and holding a wall sit. Okay, max effort wall sit. We do that quite a bit, you guys know the routine. Okay, make sure you're not too high up. We don't want any dodgy reps early on and then find that it's hard to replicate. So use the standards. Okay, now we're on to the core work. So core straightforward. Complete as many reps of a sit-up as possible in 2 minutes. Start lying on your back with your knees bent at right angles and feet flat on the floor. Okay, so your feet are flat on the floor, not the butterfly position. Arms should be stretched out in front of you with the hands resting on your thighs. Slide your hands along your thighs until your wrist reaches the top of your knees. So that is the standard. So your wrist reaches your knees and then lower until the shoulder blades touch the ground. Okay, so you want to go through that full range of movement. Do not bounce, okay? Do not bounce or arch the lower back, and the butt must remain, so your bottom must remain in constant contact with the floor throughout. And if anchoring, you do need to keep it consistent. So by anchoring, I mean if you're actually using a step or something to lock your feet in, you do need to use that every time you test, and ideally try and not use that. Try and get all of the tension in your tummy muscles and use the muscle group that we're working. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the standard for that. It is a 2-minute test. Okay, so you're going to ideally have a countdown timer, 2-minute test, and see how many you can go. And just in terms of what the standard means there, you're going to have your knees bent, okay, and then coming up and all the way down, up and all the way down. Okay, so as long as wrists are touching the top of the knees, that's absolutely fine. If you do use an anchor, just remember to use that each time as well. Plank hold, very familiar with this one. Be nice and quick. So hold the plank position for as long as possible. Support the body off the ground by the elbows and the forearms. Legs are straight with the weight taken across the toes. Maintain a straight line from head to toe, not allowing the hips to lift. And this one is quite important. Please don't have any bridges. We don't want any sore backs, okay? So you're gonna squeeze your tummy muscles, squeeze your bottom muscles, and keep your hips nice and low, all right? So this is for a max plank hold, which, as we know, we're gonna be down here and hips nice and low. Okay, so you've got your elbows, forearms in contact with the ground, and the weight is in your toes, and seeing how long you can hold for. All right. By the time you've gone through this a few times, you're going to know the routine really, really well. Okay, now your quadrant test, it's quite nice doing it either in the gym or if you've got tiles, because you don't need to set up much else at all, you just jump around. It sounds trickier than it really is. It's quite a straightforward test. So I'll read it out. So mark out a quadrant on the ground using chalk, skipping ropes, or rolled up towels, or you can just use whatever marker is already there. So in the gym, we've got the floor mats, you've got the the T's, the crosses. Likewise with tiles, you can even just use the lines. Okay, start with both feet together in the first quadrant, and when ready, jump ahead across the line into the second quadrant, and then in a sequence so that you're going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then back around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, moving in a clockwise direction. Keep the body facing ahead in the same direction as you go around the quadrant. Okay, continue the pattern as rapidly as possible for 20 seconds and count the total number of jumps. Do not count any jumps if you touch a line or land with one or both feet in an incorrect quadrant. They must stay together. So this is your speed and power, your measurement there. And that's why this sort of fitness test is a little bit better in terms of a functional gym fitness test. Do like the idea of combining it with the body scan. So let's just have a look at this one. I'll go through it really quite quickly. We are measuring 20 seconds. So if I've got the timer going, all it is, you're going to start in one tile or one quadrant, feet are together, 1, and jumping for the 20 seconds, counting how many times you can do that. Then we have the counterclockwise quadrant jump. So repeat the same quadrant test, but move in a counterclockwise direction, which means you then go like this. Make sure you turn. Okay, so you're actually testing the force that you put through that inner foot. It does need to be one way, then the other way. Okay, we're now up to our cardiovascular test, which is burpees. Everyone loves a good burpee. So I've gone for a 3-minute test. If you don't have time to do 3 minutes, that's absolutely fine to cut it down, but you must do the same thing every week, okay? Burpees in 3 minutes, yes, it's a lot, but we're trying to fatigue ourselves so that we can then measure heart rate and then how quickly our heart rate recovers after intense cardiovascular fitness, okay? All right, so I'll just read it out again. Burpees. So complete as many burpees as possible in the 3 minutes. At the bottom of the burpee, the chest must touch the ground, and at the finish of the burpee, the feet must leave the ground with the hands reaching above the ears. And what I mean by above the ears, just making sure that you do bring your hands up. You don't need to really clap overhead, but just to have that standard. Okay, I'll read the next part as well. So post burpee heart rate, you record your heart rate immediately after completing the burpee test, which is at the 3-minute mark or however long you decide to do your burpee test for. There is a reason for 3 minutes. It's sort of a standardized test that we do for cardiovascular health. But I understand if you do need to cut it, just make sure it's consistent. Okay, so I'm not gonna go for 3 minutes right now because it's gonna make the video too long, but I will do some burpees and then just show you how to count your heart rate nice and quickly. We'll just make sure that the clock is going for that one. And so you're gonna need to make sure you've got the clock nice and close to you, that it's handy, because you're going to count the number of reps. So just in terms of heart rate, absolutely fine to use your monitors if you would like to, but you can also just use what I was saying before, your neck or your wrist measurement for 15 seconds and times it by 4. Okay, so it's heart rate beats per minute. All right, so burpee test. Okay, we're gonna go through chest to ground, then jump, hands to ears. So 3 minutes, sounds pretty good to me. And then you're gonna go straight into okay, so the reason I wanted to make sure we did that for the full 15 seconds, you can absolutely go through the video and stop start when you're doing it, just to help you as well. But it's 15 seconds times by 4 to get your heart rate measurement. Now we're up to the resting heart rate. So this is 1 minute. So sit down and rest for 1 minute and then record your heart rate again. Okay, so this is 1 minute from the test. So if your timer is going, you're gonna make sure you're completely rested, you've sat down, and we're gonna see how you recover at the 1 minute mark. So use that rest to really make sure that there has been a change, and then we go again. Okay, so a 15-second count. Obviously not talking, just nice and rested. So you record your heart rate for 15 seconds and times by 4, or use your heart rate monitor. Okay, 17, we're on to the shuttle run. Now the shuttle run test, you can choose any setup. I've got an example here, but any setup that suits your home environment, or whether you're doing it in a park, at the beach, wherever you might be doing it. Okay, so a shuttle run test. Lay out markers at a consistent distance, for example, 20 meters, and record as many laps as you can run in 60 seconds, a minute. Touch the marker each time you turn. So you do need to use a marker at either end and go from A to B and back again. Okay, you keep going up and down, shuttling. The distance that I'm actually using is just the distance of the tile, so 3.6, and I'm just going to times that at the end. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the distance is, but as you can see, I've got one marker over here, and can you see the other one? Or if we come back, you probably will, but there is another marker just down over on the other side. So marker there, probably should have made that 2 meters. Would have been a lot of turning. Okay, but you get the idea that it can be any distance. Okay, so with the shuttle run, you're going for 60 seconds and you're counting how many laps you can do up and down. So just as an example, and you can see the other marker on the other side. You're going to go 3, 2, 1, go, touch, and then return and touch your marker at the distance that you set. Okay, so each time you're down. All right, whatever that distance is, okay, you're going to then times the distance and the number of laps. Okay, so get a total distance, record that, and use the same markers and same distance each time. Okay, and try and increase the number of laps that you can get. Now, we've got one more measurement that's our main test, which is a flexibility test, so toe touch. You're testing out the flexibility of your calf and also your hamstrings as well, but we're setting up on, so I'll sit on a flat surface with the legs extended in front of the body, toes pointing up and feet slightly apart with the soles of the feet up against the base of a step. Place a ruler on the ground between your legs or at the top of the step. So you can actually just use a marker as well. Use just something to mark the spot if that's easier, and then measure that later. So place one hand on top of the other with the fingertips together, and then reach slowly forward, keeping your legs straight. I'll go through this and it'll make more sense. Hold for a couple of seconds at the point of greatest reach and measure how far you've been able to reach. Perform the test 3 times and record the best score. Okay, so 3 times, and usually the last one's the best one. Take a measure, not necessarily, take a measure of how far beyond the base of your foot you've been able to reach, or if you did not reach your toes, measure how far before the feet you were, which is a negative measurement. Okay, so I'll show you both of those as well. All right, so you're actually going to find that position first of all at the end of your feet, and then reach forward, have a rest, and then retest. Okay, you can measure it afterwards, just use your marker if you like. Okay, so just as an example, I'll take this with me. I'm going to set it up here, see whether you can actually see the step. So if this is the step down here, a little bit hard to see. Go here. All right, so you've got the step. My feet are then going to line up on the step, hands at the toes, and then I'm going to reach forward, and there we are. So I'll place my marker. okay? Or you can measure it, that's absolutely fine. I'm gonna go again and reach, pause, okay. And one more time, and I'm gonna go all out on the last one. Okay, just remember legs are nice and straight, and then you're gonna measure the distance from the step to the marker, like so, and that is your measurement. Okay, so absolutely, if you have a specific goal, that's the fitness test section I'd like you to prioritize, but do try and get all of those key all-rounded fitness measurements in if you can. Remember, it's sort of a 20 to 30 minute fitness test, but you can do it anywhere, okay? So this is something that you can even go to the park and do it in your backyard, it doesn't matter. But if you're in at the gym, obviously we've got everything easily accessible there, so that's great too, and you've got the open gym times to work in around that. Now, just the other optional tests, I'll just mention these really briefly. So if you are able to make it into the gym and you have a goal of ski, row or ride, by all means you can record a distance and time for that and measure the same distance and time each week. Okay, it will help you get faster. Say for example you want to get faster on the rower, you set a 2 kilometer time trial every week, you're going to find that you get faster and faster and you get fitter as well. Okay, so the other one is to run. Obviously you need to do that outside, but Park Menai is really close by and a great place to go run. But if you choose even just one lap, okay, you could have, so that 250, 300 meter loop as your goal, and that's your measurement that you're going to record, and you see how fast you can do it. Or if you have a distance goal, measure the number of laps that you can do comfortably and then increase the speed with that. Okay, or you can increase the distance. We'll have a chat about that later on. Okay, the last one, chin up bar hang. I've got a couple of people who I'd like to make sure you have this as your measurement. So record how long you can hang for. And this is a key measure for anyone wanting to achieve a pull-up, hint, hint. So the idea is that you're doing a dead hang, so you're just arms extended, hanging onto the bar and seeing how long you can hold for. It is grip strength predominantly, but you're gonna find that it also helps condition everything else in your shoulders and your wrists. Okay, so that is the fitness test. So please do make sure that you're doing your fitness test, as much of it as you possibly can. If you're very time poor and you want to just choose certain sections that are relevant for you, that is okay, but it is pretty quick. So 20, 30 minutes, you don't need to, you'll get familiar with it. It really should only be 20 minutes. Once you're familiar with all the things that you need to do, you'll go straight into it. And as I say, you just need to set the time aside. And I know it's not tricky, you all lead busy lives, but at the same time, you've taken on a challenge, and it might just mean waking up 15, 20 minutes earlier, or just finding some time at lunch. It doesn't really matter when you do it, you just need to do it and you need to start. Okay, so the other thing is, please book in your body scan. As I said, really quick, it took me about 5 minutes to do. Guys down there are lovely, they're really helpful. And then the other thing is your goals. Okay, I do have that. So your goal setting, this lovely sheet here. You've got SMART goals. Thank you to the guys that have sent that in. So they've taken photos or they've very neatly sent a scanned copy. But you've got your SMART goal, and that is your key measurement, your key goal, as well as primary personalized goals. And as I was saying, that could be a number of different things. That could be sleep habits, that could be eating better, it could be a little bit more of a general goal. All right, guys, I think I've spoken enough. If you've got any questions at all, please do ideally pop them on the group chat, because other people are probably wondering the same sort of thing. Or you can always send an email to me, Leo, or Shannon, depending on where you are. But good luck. All right, thanks very much.